Hello and welcome back to another FPL captaincy video. Last week we ended up picking Isak for game week 1 as our captain, and unfortunately he only picked up 10 points as the captaincy, so 5 points if you didn't go for him. And at the end of the day, it probably isn't the best score we'd be looking for. It's not the worst either. He did still pick up an assist, but we were definitely hampered by the fact that Newcastle picked up a red card, and I'm pretty sure they had the least amount of attempts in game week 1 against Southampton. You can only imagine because of that early red card for Fabian Schär. So and only a 10 pointer for Isak. Obviously the likes of Salah, Saka and Howland all did a little bit better, so we're going to be hoping to bounce back from that in game week 2. So for game week 2, we've got another 4 options. Once again, we have Salah and Howland, and we've also got Eze and Cole Palmer in here as well. So let me know in the future if you would like me to continue with 4 players, if you'd like me to reduce it down to 3, or maybe we just go for like 1 or 2 decent options and pick our captaincy. But these are going to be our 4 today. Salah with Brentford at home, Howland with Ipswich at home, Eze with West Ham at home, and then the only away fixture comes for Cole Palmer against Wolves. So taking a look at the expected points then, Howland is the one leading the way today with 8.7 in Fantasy Football Hub, and he is actually leading the way on FPL Team as well on 8.3, who usually tend to have a little bit less expected points than the hub does, but they're very, very similar today, which kind of shows you the expectancy of Haaland this weekend against Ipswich. In second place, you can see Salah in there with 8 expected points on the hub, and then 7.3 on FPL Team. Then in third place, we have Eze on the hub with 6.8, and then 5.9 for FPL Team, and then Palmer is in fourth place on 6.4 for the hub and 5.6 on FPL Team. So really we kind of all know this already, but we are really only looking at 2 options this week for captaincy, and it's going to be Haaland and Salah, and you can see that by the expected points with basically 2 more than both Eze and Palmer in at third and fourth place. So looking at game week 1 then, we have a week's worth of fixtures to take a look at, and all 4 of these guys ended up playing the full 90 minutes. Now, it's definitely something like these kind of stats are useful, but they're going to get more useful over time when we have more game weeks to look at. But obviously this right now doesn't really show us too much, but it's useful to keep in mind when looking at game week 2, because the game week 1 fixtures is obviously only 1 game of stats that we can look at, so they could really be all over the place. For example, if one of them had a penalty, they would be a lot higher in XG than the others. But leading the way for game week 1 was Salah for XG, picked up 0.71, and then Haaland was only at 0.33 despite scoring as well. And then expected assists, again all very low in terms of the assists. Salah ended up with 0.15, Haaland with 0 in total. Eze was very low as well with 0.04, and the one winning it this week is Palmer on 0.19. And then looking at this week into game week 2, the chances of a return, Haaland is at a massive 77%, so you're talking almost 4 in 5 times that Haaland should be returning against Ipswich this weekend. Salah as well really high at 72%, and then a little bit lower we've got Eze and Palmer at 59 and 58%. Looking at the odds for this week, Haaland is clearly leading the way. Again, no real surprises here with this one. With the Ipswich fixture at home, Haaland was always expected to be very high on the odds, but he has a 66% chance of scoring, which is one of the highest that you will see all season. And then even when you're looking at the 2 or more goals, Haaland's still a 33% chance, which again is absolutely massive. So you're looking at the other options, Haaland has more of a chance to score 2 goals than Eze does to score 1 goal, so it kind of does rule Eze out as a bit of a captaincy option. Palmer is a little bit more on that 44% to score a goal, but then Salah as well, he is quite high with 56%, so he's not too much lower than Haaland for the 1 goal, but then when it comes to the 2+ goals, Haaland is a good 13% higher, which is definitely going to make a difference. Then we're looking at the opponent's clean sheet odds. Ipswich only have a 4% chance of keeping a clean sheet against Man City this week, and then as well, again, if you maybe don't own Haaland, Salah is up there as well. There are only a 7% chance of Brentford keeping a clean sheet, which is definitely something to note. Obviously a little bit higher for the likes of Eze and Palmer, with Wolves having a 17% chance, and Eze playing against West Ham has a 22% chance. So again, as I mentioned, the stats are really favouring basically just Haaland and Salah this week. In terms of set pieces, once again, Howland and Salah are only on penalties for this, and then when you're looking at, again, some of the more differential options in Eze and Palmer, they are on most of the set pieces. Now, Eze was very, very close to scoring a free kick last week, and he also did score a free kick as well, which was then ruled out. So we know that Eze is 100% going to be taking free kicks, and we know he's very, very good at them as well. He is also on corners. He is one of the primary corner takers. Then when we're looking at Cole Palmer, we obviously know he's on penalties. He does take free kicks as well, and he is on corners. He just doesn't take all of them. They do get shared, so that's why he is in orange. But again, Eze, Palmer are the ones favoured here for the set pieces, but obviously with Howland and Salah both on the penalties, definitely don't want to be ruling them out whatsoever. So this is the graphic that I really like to have a look at for captaincy this week. Looking at last week, we're looking at the opponents. So Brentford were 13th in terms of the expected goals conceded last week with 1.07, and they only did concede that one goal. So they are basically matching their expected goals conceded with the number of goals conceded. Now, Ipswich were top for expected goals conceded last week. They were at 2.86, and they only conceded 2, so they actually conceded less than they were expected to. And then when you look at the kind of like the Jota chance where he missed that header, you can really see where Liverpool could have scored a few more goals. So when I'm looking at Haaland, obviously we know how many goals he can score in a game, so he definitely looks like one of the best. And considering that Ipswich were the worst defence in game week 1, I would definitely be very favourable in terms of the Haaland captaincy. We're looking at Eze next, and West Ham were 4th in terms of expected goals conceded, 1.89, and just overperformed that with the 2 goals conceded. And then Wolves were down at 9th against Arsenal, only conceding 1.26, only having 1.26 expected goals conceded, and then they obviously conceded 2. Now when we look at the chances conceded, this is where it gets very interesting. The one that's standing out the most is the Ipswich one straight through the middle. So you can see against Liverpool in game week 1, they only conceded 2 chances from each wing, but down the middle they conceded 10 chances. Now if this is going to happen against Manchester City, you know that Haaland's going to get a lot of shots off. So again, very, very favourable towards Erling Haaland. And then when you're looking at his main competitor being Salah, Brentford actually conceded the least amount of chances in game week 1 down the right hand side. So again, something definitely to keep in mind if you do have both of them. Cole Palmer, however, if he is going to be playing on the right wing, Wolves did concede 10 chances down Saka's side. Now we've seen him get a goal and assist as well in there, so again, when you're looking at Cole Palmer, we did slightly rule him out because of the Wolves defence, but they did concede a lot of chances down that side, so it is definitely something to keep in mind, potentially if you were looking to transfer him in this week, because I know a lot of people didn't really have him. But again, Nkunku is another one that a lot of people do own from Chelsea. If he is going to play left wing again, Wolves didn't really concede too many chances down the left hand side, so it is something to consider, maybe if you had Nkunku in the back of your mind as a captaincy. So with all that in mind, I do think the obvious captaincy pick here is going to be Erling Haaland. Now we're picking him because he has very clearly the highest goal scoring odds and a very, very nice chance of scoring 2 goals as well. Should play the full 90. We don't yet have an Alvarez replacement for Man City, which means they do not have a striker to come on for Erling Haaland, and we saw that on the bench at the weekend as well. Obviously Ipswich had the highest expected goals conceded in game week 1 as well, with 10 chances down the middle, so I think this is the week where Haaland could do really, really well. And as a Haaland owner myself, my plan will be to triple captain him. Now the reason for this is because this is probably going to be the lowest he's owned all season. We know a lot of people haven't started with him, and I think having him not only captain but triple captaining him could be the best opportunity to get the most points out of it and punish those who didn't have Erling Haaland. And again, obviously a lot of us like to save the triple captaincy chip for a double game week, but with the cup fixtures not taking place in replacement of the Premier League games, there's probably not going to be as many double game weeks this year, and for which teams there is going to be a double game week, we don't really know. So by the end of the season there could really only be a double game week for maybe even just like Crystal Palace, maybe for just Everton, so we don't know if the likes of Man City and Arsenal and Liverpool are even going to get a double game week this year. So I'm putting it on the best single game day fixture that you can get for Erling Haaland, and that is going to be Ipswich at home. And again, with his ownership being so low, I think it could be a really good chance to gain some rank. So that is it for the Game Week 2 captaincy. Let me know if there's any other stats you would like me to throw in here, and again let me know if you would like me to bring this down to maybe 3 or 2 players, and then we can focus more on that. So if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe if you are new, because we do this every single week, and I'll see you all in the next one.